Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. Mr. John Cornett standing by in the wings here, ready to launch into an original John Cornett song. And then Casper Leach is here. We'll be co-hosting the show. You can watch us live on the internet and text us calls, or you can call in and talk to us at 503-288-4448. This is a show about ending marijuana prohibition and restoring hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. All right. Now we're going to listen to that song by Mr. John Cornett.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you,
As
sir.
I said before, a rose by any other name is still a rose. We like to call it Meriganja. Ganja. We like Meriganja. Ganja. We like to grow Meriganja. Stick it in the ground, water it down, Meriganja. Woohoo. Ganja. We need Meriganja. Ganja. We need to share Meriganja. It's renewable energy and fine clothes for you and me, Meriganja. Woohoo. Ganja. We want Meriganja. Ganja. We want to use Meriganja for food or medicine. Prohibition must end. Meriganja. Ganja. We like Meriganja. Ganja. We like to use Meriganja. Sometimes we get high. Yes, sometimes we do get high. Meriganja.
All right. Thank you, John. That's a fun song.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
It is. All right. So welcome, Casper.
Thank you so
We
much.
got a big show and tell
Oh,
for our
man.
guest tonight.
This
but
is
we'll
like
put it up.
Christmas. You would think the
It
holidays
is.
were near.
It is. And some of them look pretty festive,
They
don't they?
do, really.
But we are taking your phone calls live. It is the last day of November 2012, a pretty historic month for marijuana law reform. We've seen marijuana become voted in and legalized, at least the limited possession of 1 ounce in Washington State and Colorado. The Washington State law goes into effect on December 6th, and
6
just a week
days.
away.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll celebrate in our next show.
Apparently, everybody is
We'll
just
have to
waiting
go
to
across the
figure out
river.
what the White House and the DEA are going to say and do. And I'm just thinking,
They're muzzled.
The smart thing to do
They
is what
passed
the
in
voters
Colorado
say to
too.
do.
Yeah, well, that's the
Do what the voters say,
people are
Eric.
the rulers under our system of government. You know,
Yeah.
that's the theory, and it should be the practice.
Right.
We didn't elect the national security state or any other person as the sovereign.
Right.
It's the
And
people.
if
that are
Eric
the
Holder
sovereign.
wants to get here in a fast and furious manner,
Right.
we'll get you a nice Christmas ounce.
You know, they will have the another legal theory is that states are laboratories of democracy, and that you know, we've got 50 states and 50 sovereign units within the United States, and so
We're lab rats.
I'm up. Test me, test me. Anyway, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442.
I was tickled. Can I jump here right for a minute?
Jump.
Yeah. In Indiana, apparently the head of the state police finally came out and said he's about to retire, but he came out and said that it is
To the
time.
state representatives in
Exactly,
in
right to their
legislative
face.
session in Indianapolis.
He said, and prohibition, it's a waste of time. And Indiana is the buckle of the Bible Belt, to say the least. It's really an
You're an
obnoxious-
Indiana boy.
Oh, God, yes. It's a great place to be from at the moment. I love people back there, but
That's
I tell
how
you,
I
the
feel
laws
about
are nuts.
Texas.
But so if Indiana's saying it's time to change it, it's over with. The war
Yeah,
on drugs is
I
over.
think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And so more interesting news about the Colorado. You know, a DEA agent came out today and said they aren't going to address what the state law. Basically, the federal government has muzzled the DEA, and they aren't going to say what they're going to do. They're saying the Controlled Substances Act is in force, and marijuana is a controlled substance, and we're analyzing, you know, the votes in Washington and Colorado. The Justice Department has muzzled these diehard drug lawyers that want to come and bust us all.
Aren't we by the people, for the people, of the people?
Yeah, I hope most of them still believe in that much so far.
Well,
you know.
get with the
It's
program.
either that or the national security state, right?
Exactly.
The CIA and the DEA and those guys. So hopefully that's not the case.
Well, and again, right there in Washington, D.C., when they drive from Eric's front door to his little mansion at Christmas
and by
time.
Eric, you mean the
Eric
the
Holder?
yeah.
Yeah.
The
They
Attorney
go right
General
by
of the
these
United
medical.
States.
He's a good
No, I
friend
hear
of
he's
mine.
going.
Huh?
I hear he's going.
Is
There's
he?
going to be a new
Oh.
Attorney General. Here
Well, it's too
soon.
bad because he listens to my show every Wednesday when we have Leap Day. We know that, so I know we're friends. But when he goes from his house to see the president, he go by these medical marijuana dispensaries, and I'm sure he just waves at those people and wishes them well.
Got these. Well, that's true. They do have medical marijuana dispensaries now in Washington D.C., and that's quite ironic, isn't it? You
Yeah.
know, here it has no medical utility, but they have dispensaries in Washington D.C. That it's controlled by the federal government. They don't have voting representation in either house of Congress.
I bet you Eric Holder has a Hispanic housekeeper go down and buy his ounce for his medical needs every week. Just saying.
That's an interesting concept. I never thought of that. But anyway.
So what are these? These are beautiful.
These are antique medical marijuana containers, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more soon.
All right.
Yeah, I'll go through and I'll show and tell, or as they say nowadays, they don't really have. When you and I were kids in school, it was called show and tell.
Right.
But now it's sharing.
Sharing. All right.
We'll have sharing.
Can you share with me, in 6 days, they're going to be allowed to have an ounce, anybody in the state of Washington.
And in
where do they
Colorado
get it?
on January 1st,
So
they can have an ounce.
where
And
did
if
they
Measure
get it?
80 had passed here in Oregon, we would have been able to have unlimited amounts on January 1st.
Did you hear that?
Actually, statewide, we got 47% of the vote. To be precise, 46.89, according to the current count on the Secretary of State of Oregon's website. And here in Multnomah County, we got 61% of the vote for unlimited personal possession and unlimited cultivation.
And had that lady not been out there forging
And
all
legalized marijuana.
those votes, we might have had more.
Well, you know,
you owe us more than an apology
I think
for what
it's
you
really,
did.
we were $500,000. If we'd been able to spend as little as $500,000 on advertising, we would have more than what we spent.
Yeah.
You know, we would have won this election, and we would have had marijuana legal in Oregon too. But there's a coalition. There have been just endless meetings of people around the state. There's a meeting down in Eugene I'm going to go to on Sunday. There have been some meetings with the people who represent George Soros and the Drug Policy Alliance. I talked to
Hi, George.
their political director today, and there have been other meetings with other local groups, such as the ACLU, and in fact THCF medical clinics and our political organization CRRH are sponsors of an upcoming ACLU, their largest annual fundraiser at the end of January.
Nice. You got an amazing team of people there.
And we've been trying to build some of the people who didn't get behind us now, so that either we're going to get a bill through the legislature or a referral to the people by the legislature, or we're going to put an initiative on the ballot by this time next year.
Well, I think it's going to be kind of hard to persuade the people who didn't get behind you. It was the jailers, and the growers, too.
I hear a voice. That must be a phone call.
What? No, it's
We
Christmas.
didn't get
That
any
might
message
be,
that there was a phone caller,
it's
but welcome to the show, caller.
Could be God.
Hello,
Howdy. How are you?
this is Dr. Levesque.
Dr. Levesque.
Hey.
It is so good to hear from you. I was just thinking about you, how we've got to have you back. How is your recovery coming, sir?
Well, coming along. How come I don't have a picture?
You don't have a picture?
I don't have a picture, but I have audio. What's going on?
I don't know. There's some kind of, are you watching it on the internet or on cable TV?
Cable.
Gee, well, there's no picture. Well, that sucks.
Well,
You know,
there was a group
maybe
of people,
we'll get, tell me if we get a picture. You
There
know,
was a
call
group-
me.
group
And
of
let me
people
know.
who petitioned to get my
Occasionally,
voice
we've had a picture, but right now it's black.
Are you in Clackamas County?
I'm in Multnomah County.
You're here in the Portland area?
Yeah,
Well, that's a shame.
on
You know, it's sabotage, Doctor.
Johnson Creek Boulevard.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that's out right at the borderline of Clackamas, and there's different
Well,
cable
it
systems,
is.
but
Where
Channel
our
11
house is
goes
right-
across a pretty broad area.
Right on the line.
Right.
But I got a good audio.
Well, good. You know, I guess that's not good though that we don't have a picture. I'm sorry to see
Yeah.
that. We got a picture on our monitors in here, but you know, it's sabotage. I'm glad you let us know though. But at least you can hear us. You know, we're not that cute anyway. So
yeah, I have a face for radio,
Well,
so it's a good thing.
I heard you talking about Washington D.C. when they voted for marijuana in Washington D.C. It was voted at least 60% for
That's right. And that was
marijuana.
the same time Oregon's was voted in and Washington's in 1998. So
Yeah.
that won, and then the Congress would not allow that vote to be counted until
I know.
2009, when Obama won and the Democrats controlled the House. Then they said they could count the vote 11 years before in Washington. And guess what? 11 years before in 98, it won, like you said, with over 60%. So it became law in 2011.
Yeah.
And it's ironic, though. But you had an injury, an accident. You broke your hip, right? And for our viewers, our listeners, I guess, if you can't see the picture.
I broke my upper leg right at the pelvis, and my doctor says this is the worst break I could possibly have.
Oh, no.
And it's been 7 weeks now. I'm confined mostly to bed.
That sucks.
And I can get up and walk around the house with a walker.
Yeah. For our viewers out there, or listeners who don't know, Dr. Levesque was a co-host of this TV show for many years and a chief petitioner on earlier versions of the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, which here in Oregon was Measure 80 that we've been talking about here. Came pretty close to passing, but didn't.
And besides that, I had over 5,000 patients.
That's
on
right.
marijuana.
And you were the first major medical marijuana doctor here in Oregon. And you helped us get our clinics going and many other clinics all around the state. So
Are
we're
there any
hoping
of
your
other
90th
listeners?
birthday is coming up, right?
Are there any of your other listeners that were my former patients? There should be.
There's several people in the studio holding up their hands, and of course I can hold up my hand too as a disabled vet. But yeah, went to your wife's funeral. That's what one person here said. Kathy, you remember
Yeah.
Kathy? She's hanging in there. Anyway,
Yep.
I do appreciate your call. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, turn on
Well, no wonder we aren't getting any phone calls. The video's still not coming to you. You know, it's coming through our system here.
No, I got the audio, but no picture.
That sounds like sabotage to me. And it's not the first time, but audio is better than because video without audio you can't understand anything. But at least the audio without video, if you stop, you'll be able to understand what's going on that way.
Dr. Levesque, I understand you're on some pain medication. Could it be that maybe you don't have your TV set adjusted?
I think he's telling us the truth there.
Okay. Just double checking. You know, I know how good my medication
we
is.
do have some pain medication for you. But thank you for calling, doctor. Right, if you have a question or comment, if you're out there, you can call us at 503-288-4442. I thought it was 4448. It's 4442. Okay.
And if you can't see us, we're still here.
That's right. We won't be. I don't think we should do show and tell though if the video's not going.
Well,
we'll still try it because we're recording it and it'll go on YouTube for
Hi YouTube.
You know, the 5 people who watch us there.
Yeah, well, now and then 20 years from now. Hi YouTube. 20 years from now.
Okay. For posterity's sake.
Yeah, that way people will know that we thought about them.
Right, and maybe it's going out on Ustream too. I don't know. Is it going out on Ustream? Okay, so they're watching us on the internet.
So
maybe out there
Dr. Levesque's
watching us on the
medication.
internet. Well, you never know.
You know.
It's not medication.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It happens. It really does. I think it's the national security state, but I blame them for everything.
All right. So you got some awards over here too that people can't see.
There's some
The
awards.
TV's not
We'll show
working.
those here. We're coming up. We'll talk about. There's some new awards.
Yeah.
Oregon Normal has passed the torch of the Medical Cannabis Awards, along with Madeline Martinez, to the world-famous Cannabis Cafe. And so the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards are coming up here on Saturday, December 15th. And so there's a banquet dinner. There's other cool stuff. We'll be talking more about that in just a minute. But I guess we do have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello?
Howdy.
Hey there, I just had a question. What were your thoughts on the federal government trying to sue the state of Washington for trying to pass their medical marijuana law?
You know, I think that it could happen. But I think if it was going to happen, we might have heard about it already. But, you know, the governor of Washington and the governor of Colorado have both gone to the Justice Department and asked for input on how to implement these laws. In Oregon, I think we wrote our bill to withstand a federal court challenge. I don't think the folks in Washington and Colorado really looked at it with an eye to a federal court challenge. We'll see what happens. You know, it could happen. If it does, then the people are sovereign. We're the ones who make the decisions, and our voice should matter. So time will
Absolutely.
tell.
And I was just curious, too, if you have ever tried my fudge-covered meat stick.
Let's cut that call. That was kind of crazy. Oh well, sorry about that, viewers. And anyway,
Don't hand me a line like that.
we try to orient our show in a more family-oriented way, you know, and go a little more highbrow than that. But
so I said, don't hand me a line like
try.
that. I'm a comedian. I take the bait.
well, all right. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4442.
I have one.
we
I
have-
said that Colorado has put this in their constitution.
That's right.
So that even if the DEA, the Justice Department come and say, we don't like it, it's like, too bad.
Okay, we have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello, Paul.
Yes.
Robert Cushman in Seattle. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
You know what? I'm great. This is the first time I've watched your show, and you're coming through clear as a bell on the web.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm sorry to hear that our local cable cast is running into problems. It goes to several areas, and I'm just a paranoid person, but I always suspect some sabotage here or there. It could be, maybe it's just in the wherever it is Dr. Levesque happens to be. It might be that.
Now, Paul, my question to you, as with the last time that you were actually on my show, on my talk show, where is Oregon headed now? I mean, I know you were talking with an earlier caller about Washington State versus the federal government and what's going on with that. So far, absolutely nothing. Christine Gregoire, the governor of Washington, she has had meetings with the DEA, but so far the DEA, Eric Cantor, they've been pretty well keeping it hush-hush or under wraps and not doing anything here.
Well, we know that if Obama and the Obama administration had come out against the measures in the 3 states, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, that were on the ballot, it would have hurt him in Colorado for certain. He would not have won that swing state and possibly others. So they've got to take that into consideration. And the fact that he's been asked many times, it's one of the top issues that the internet audience has asked him to answer in his public town halls, and he's always kind of avoided the issue. He was admitted pretty heavy marijuana smoker. Obama had a pack in his senior yearbook. He said a shout out to the Choom Gang, and the Choom Gang was a marijuana group in Pahoa High School, which is an exclusive high school in Honolulu run by the Hawaiian monarchy, and it owns a lot of the property all around all the islands, and so they have this school that they send their best and brightest to, and he got into that school and was part of this Choom Gang. He's got a picture of his desk with a couple packages of zigzag rolling papers, and he admitted to trying marijuana and cocaine, up until his early 20s. But so he hasn't, said he didn't inhale. At least he said that was the point, which is asked if he inhaled.
Every time that we've had you actually on the show, I think twice or 3 times now, we have way more people after hours that watch the show than during the live show, which is very odd. There is a lot of requests to get you back on, and I do want to do that because I am persuaded as a Washingtonian, but also as a talk show host, to follow this and to follow you very thoroughly with what's going on in Oregon, because, I don't know, maybe Oregon is going to use Washington as a litmus test.
Well, we send our DVDs. It runs on a cable channel or 2 up in Washington State, on Whidbey Island, I think in Seattle, and in Denver and Detroit and other cities, about 15 other cities that we have sent DVDs to.
Plus, you get about 80,000 viewers on Ustream. Sometimes.
Well, I don't know about those Ustream numbers. I know we used to get a lot of viewers before YouTube came along, because we started streaming on the internet about 1998. First started putting videos on the internet in 1995. In fact, the internet started in 1994, and so we were there at the very beginning. Even before that, they had these Usenet news groups. So been at it for a while. But I'd be happy to come back on your show, and thanks for calling. Do you have any other specific question right now, Robert?
Actually, yes. At this rate, now knowing that in Washington it has not become legal yet, it becomes legal next week.
A week from today.
6 days.
Yes.
Then you can legally possess an ounce, and obviously a lot of jurisdictions aren't going to arrest you, even though you can't use it publicly. You can't have it, more than 5 nanograms in your blood if you're over 21.
Where can you buy it, though?
It doesn't matter to a lot of jurisdictions where you buy it, though. Out in eastern Washington, in Spokane, they've said at first you can't have it because you can't buy it legally, but now they've changed their tune on that.
Now, in Oregon, what is, and as far as your organization, with what you do, what is your next plan of action with this in your push? And I'll
be happy to tell you that. We are moving forward with a group of people to form an alliance and have lobbyists in the legislature. We're hopeful that the legislature will refer a bill to the people to legally regulate marijuana for the 2014 ballot. I would rather see the legislature pass a bill and put on the desk of the governor for his signature. That's less likely than a referral. But if we don't get a referral out of the legislature, we're going to, with a larger group of people this time, and much more major funding, put an initiative on the ballot for a vote in 2014. So we'll be back on the ballot, unless we can get the governor to sign it, which is a long shot. We'll be back on the ballot with another initiative in 2014, and I expect we'll see other states to do it. You know, in the East, Rhode Island and Maine's legislature have both introduced a bill to legalize marijuana now, and there's a movement in other areas to legalize marijuana. So time will tell, and I think we're seeing the beginning of the end, and that this election was transformational, and that the fact that, you know, I live here in Portland, Oregon, I know you're up in the Puget Sound, Seattle area, that here we can just drive across the river. From where I'm sitting right now, I could be in Washington State in less than 10 minutes and legally buy marijuana, you know, as soon as the stores are open, or at least legally possess it. You know, I think after the show next week, I'll go over there and smoke some somewhere. But, just to, you know.
Just because we can.
Just because we can.
Just because we can.
But anyway, that's what I think. Thanks for asking.
And that's money that was not going into Oregon. It's now going to be going into Washington. And look at all that revenue that Oregon is going to be losing out on. Jeez.
We have a film clip with Elvie Masica from
Elvie.
back in 1999.
Wow.
And I think we're going to cue that up. Is that up yet, studio folks? Yes.
Nice.
So here we go with Elvie Masica from back in 1999 at the world-famous Seattle Hemp Fest.
Another question we have here is for Elvie Masica, which is how the hell did you get into the federal government to give you free medical marijuana?
Well, it took 12 years of educating doctors, as every patient must do, is let the doctors know what medicine they're taking if they're not aware that marijuana is a medicine, whether they want to hear it or not. That's one thing I had to do, and it was certainly helpful when I was arrested. But in the meanwhile, I had to try every kind of medicine available for glaucoma, and that was sad because at the very beginning, we discovered that marijuana was indeed the most efficient, most reliable, and safest part of my treatment. I had had a lot of surgeries as a child, so any surgery was detrimental, and in fact, I lost my right eye to the conventional treatments. So I lost one eye. I was against the law for 12 years, worrying about when my children would be taken away from me, when I would be arrested. Working became impossible in the 80s because they started with their P test, and I couldn't qualify for most jobs, so I stayed home and became your tax burden, something I really didn't want to do. The public support once I was arrested, however, I think was extremely helpful to me, because even South Florida, as backwards as it seems sometimes, was very, very supportive of medical marijuana and understood my dilemma. And so I got an attorney from there who represented me pro bono, otherwise I would definitely have been in jail. And I had a doctor who understood that his Hippocratic oath was more important than the politics of medical marijuana, so he testified on my behalf. A judge who was running for election at the time, who also understood that I had neither created my illness nor the fact that God's work was most efficient for me. So marijuana became my medicine legally, as I was acquitted of charges of possession and cultivation. But since then, because we had that acquittal, we were able to talk the government into parting with their precious hemp, which they give to us as medicine to substitute the marijuana the doctor prescribes. But it is working, thank God, and I am legal. So it took 12 years, one eye, and a lot of you out there to help me. That's what it took to become the first woman to get legal marijuana from the program that is today providing it to 8 people in the entire country.
And the one thing that they didn't realize was that when they came after Elvie Masica, they gave our movement a secret weapon, and she has been out there place after place speaking and waking people up to what's going on.
All right, that's Elvie Masica at the 1999 Seattle Hemp Fest.
She's amazing.
She is.
She's amazing.
She's still going at it. She's living in Eugene now. When that was made, there were probably about 10 medical marijuana patients. Now she's just one of 4, as various people have passed on. The medical marijuana program, the compassionate use program, was established by the federal government back by court order Robert Randall actually led the way. I think it was back in 1982, 83. And then George Bush Sr., the first, ended it in 1999. But there are a number of patients that are no, it was 1991, excuse me. Number of patients were grandfathered into it, like L.V. Masika. There were 27 at first, but several of them had AIDS. And
I met Robert Randall shortly before he died.
Yeah, he was very active.
Amazing man.
Wrote a series of books about medical marijuana as well.
Amazing man.
So if you have a question or phone call for us tonight, you can call us at that number, 503-288-4442. And we do have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay, cool. First, I'd just like to say I'm really stoked on the show. Even though I can't see it out here tonight, I'm still watching just because I can hear you guys.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you can't see it. You know, we're going to have this stuff on the internet. We're about to do our show and tell segment. I was hoping, but yeah, I've been told that though we're on the internet and streaming just fine,
well,
for some reason the video is not going out on the local
not to
Comcast.
offend you or anything, but usually I'm screwing around the house here and listening to you guys anyways, and kind of doing my own thing here.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Anyways, to make a long story short, or a long question short, or whatever you want to call it, with the medical card in Oregon as a holder, I was told that you could be your own grower at that point as well.
In every state that has medical marijuana, you can be your own grower. Thank goodness.
Okay, that's cool. Now, because I was told that if you were a grower for a patient, they actually frown upon you as a smoker.
No, that's not true.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that doesn't seem very adequate.
A caregiver or a grower for a patient can, they're not subject to urinalysis testing. There's nothing, that stops them from consuming cannabis except for the law. But if they're in the privacy of their own home, then, they can. But technically, all the marijuana grown is for the patient. But a grower or a caregiver can be a marijuana user. And usually, like me, we have a lot of experience. The good ones have experience in growing cannabis. And so those are the ones you want to get. And so obviously if we're growing cannabis in our past, we like it. And so...
Well, I've noticed too, just here, mainly in Portland, I don't know other places, but the operations that are set up forth for people with their cards to go in, I haven't been personally, so I'm going just on hearsay and whatnot, but I'm told mostly, and what I've just kind of seen myself, is that the people actually still with the cards are going outsourcing those kind of cannabis-only patient card places with buying it still black market for themselves, even with the card.
That's unfortunately true. There's talk about more controls, but I'm a firm believer that the real solution is legalization. I wrote and backed Measure 80 on the ballot here in Oregon, and unfortunately it didn't pass. We got 61% of the vote here in Multnomah County, even better than that in the city of Portland. But we didn't win the state. We only got 47% of the vote statewide. We won in Multnomah County, Benton County, which is out where Corvallis is, Lane County where Eugene is, and Lincoln County out on the coast. So we won those 4 counties, but we didn't win the rest of the state. Really what killed us was the vote against us in Clackamas and Washington County. And, being the suspicious type, I always suspect voter fraud, but just the way it came in so heavily against us. I think Clackamas went 58% against us, and only 42% in favor, where Washington County wasn't quite that bad. I think it was 56. But if we, won 50% in both of those counties, we would have won the election. Anyway, we have our show and tell for you people watching on Comcast. I'm sorry you can't see this, but, here we go. This is an Oregon Medical Cannabis Award that we received for our strawberry cough strain. THCF Medicinal Gardens received this, and moi.
And it
Paul.
does taste nice, Paul.
Yeah, this is for strawberry cough, and that's a very good strain. I still grow it. And this is the second place. Now, in 2007, we only won 3rd place and some ribbons. But in 2008, THCF Medical Gardens, and we swept the awards. This is the 2nd place award, but we got 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, 6th place, and some other ribbons. So, and I didn't know. I hadn't entered for a while since then.
And your plans this year are fantastic.
They're pretty good. They're
Huge.
pretty good.
In
Yeah,
fact, I
they
think
were huge.
Rockefeller Center wanted to use one of them for their tree. They just didn't want to take it
Well,
clear
this
across
year
the
there
country.
is another one. Now, I don't have the poster for this year's Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards yet, but I'm sure you'll be happy to know that there is an Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards at the world famous Cannabis Cafe at 322 Southeast 82nd. And so that will be happening on Saturday, December 15th.
How do you get
Saturday,
to be a judge?
December 15th. It's too late. All the judges' spots are taken.
Darn.
Yeah, you have to apply early
Darn.
and often. But you can come in and see it, and there's an award dinner, and there's an expo there on Saturday,
Beautiful.
the 15th.
Beautiful.
Now,
Beautiful.
for our antique items, these are some of our coolest ones here tonight. This is for Park Davis. Can you close in? Roll that camera up forward here. Camera 2, a little closer, closer, closer. This is a Park Davis package of marijuana, and there's actually still marijuana in there. I keep it inside here just to protect it in this little plastic cage. But you're supposed to take this ounce of compacted marijuana from Park Davis, the pharmaceutical company that's still in existence today, and put it into a quart of alcohol and let it soak. And then take 1 or 2 teaspoons.
Now, is that rubbing alcohol
Yeah.
or liquor alcohol?
Liquor alcohol, not rubbing alcohol for certain, but into ethyl alcohol, not isopropyl. Then right next door to it, we also have another Park Davis. This is powdered trichromes, or keef. They call it powdered extract of Indian cannabis. You got a picture of their Detroit factory where Park Davis originated. Their buildings are still there. In fact, our office in Detroit, Michigan for THCF Medical Clinics is only 2 blocks from this old factory, which is kind of nifty.
So Park Davis is one of the
This
first marijuana
is still
dealers.
like 2/3 full of 110-year-old powdered keef, or maybe it's 105 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's got powdered marijuana. I've never tried to open it. I've got a few powdered extract of cannabis bottles, one from Eli Lilly, or a couple. And so speaking of Eli Lilly, here's another Eli Lilly product. This is a pint tincture of cannabis. They call it number 17. Eli Lilly and Park Davis had about 15 cannabis products. About 7 of those were just cannabis, and the other 9 were mixtures of cannabis with other products. They had things like, they called it chlorodyne, that had chloroform, cannabis, opium in it.
Groovy.
Next door to this is probably our rarest and coolest item. I'm going to roll this one forward. Come back one over. This one, this is bigger, so you got to pan out. It's much bigger. You're almost there. Okay, bigger yet. This one, this is from 1840 from London, and it came from India, and it was shipped from India. It was one of the first bottles shipping cannabis from India to London. And so it is from 1840, and it's an extract of cannabis. That's our oldest and one of our coolest things. Then next door, here, we'll just roll this. Okay, shrink down again. This is smaller. Go ahead. There. This is an 1880 tincture bottle. It's called a label under glass, or LUG, L-U-G, label under glass. And they put a label in, and then they melt glass over it. And this was fluid extract of cannabis indica. Is what that stands for there. Now this next one is a reproduction from the British Pharmacological Society.
I love it.
And it's one of the coolest ones. They had a little reproduction series in 1972, and they had other bottles like opium and cocaine, but I have the reproduction of the tincture of cannabis bottle. So it's got the seal of the British Pharmacological Society.
And if you're like the 9th caller, do you get it for free?
No, this is all part of
I'd be on the phone now. I love
my
that.
collection, and we're showing some items at our clinic, THCF Medical Clinics. We plan on having a larger museum one of these days. It won't be long. This last item here is a bottle, an antique bottle now. It's about 12 years old, of Alterna hemp shampoo, and it's an anti-dandruff shampoo. Alterna ran a project, or put some money toward a project with the Hawaiian legislature that researched hemp in Hawaii for about 4 years under the directorship of David West, an agronomist from Minnesota. And we're trying to work with Mr. West on a hemp pilot project here in Oregon that we are hoping to start next fall. So stay tuned for more information about that. An agronomist is an agricultural scientist. It's like agronomy is the science of agriculture.
Wow.
So there you have it. All right.
Educational.
That's all of our show and tell for tonight. And so we are taking your phone calls tonight. It's 503-288-4442. It's 503-288-4442. And we have another film clip we'll be rolling here in just a second. This is a trailer from the movie The Green Goddess. Let's see. There. They woke up in the control room. Welcome back. And so, or at least the video switcher. I guess they're understaffed in there tonight. But if you
I think they're passing around the
want to
pipe.
get in, no, they're not doing that.
Oh,
here.
okay.
It'll do that. All right. So anyway, only before the show and after the show. Okay, here comes the film clip with from The Green Goddess, a movie that will be coming out sometime in the near future.
The following trailer contains real marijuana.
Legend has it that deep within the THC crystal of the marijuana plant, there lives a goddess. A goddess so incredible that meeting her will transform your life forever.
She's magnificent, glorious, beautiful, delicious.
I want to meet her.
You start with a strain like this, nurture her, worship her. When your mind is open, she will come.
When their leader is arrested, 3 friends will travel halfway across the world, plant 25,000 marijuana plants, and harvest more organic ganja than you and all of your friends could smoke in 3 lifetimes. Whoa, that's a lot of pot.
You're from America?
Yep.
So you think you can just come over to Europe, grow some weed, and make a whole bunch of money? Doesn't work like that.
All I know is, after how some of y'all treated the son, the Lord felt the need to hide his daughter. And he hid her in the most sacred of sacred places.
They have only one chance to get it right and to meet one goddess. Would you like to meet the Green Goddess?
All right, that's kind of an old trailer, but it's a movie I have some association with. I've got a little part in there, and that's an old trailer. It's gotten a lot better recently. They're looking at mainstream distribution right now. Hopefully, we'll get it out sometime this year.
Nice.
We'll see.
Nice.
We'll
I look
see.
forward to. I had a chance to enjoy the debut of the
one of the
uncut version.
earlier iterations. It's got a lot of animation since this part was added.
Nice.
But we'll see more in the near future. We do have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. I think we had a caller.
Well,
Hello, caller.
I'll be the caller. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Now that Oregon has almost done it, and we got this cannabis Congress coming together soon, do you think that we're going to be hitting the ground running on any big projects by the end of spring?
I think we will have our industrial hemp project where we'll be comparing low THC hemp and high THC hemp. So far, there hasn't been a single application put in for an industrial hemp garden. So I think that's one thing we'll see in 2014. We're going to be seeing the legislature looking at several bills to regulate distributed medical marijuana, and looking at legalizing marijuana. Let's try. Looks like we got another phone call, though. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Paul?
Pretty well. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Somebody brought up Washington earlier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm wondering about, like you, I can be across the border here relatively quickly. So, obviously that's kind of a relief to know that, if I'm traveling with my medicine or whatnot, I don't think I got to worry about it anymore.
That's right. That's right. As long as you don't carry more than an ounce.
Right, yeah, so that's a good thing. And then, I heard a rumor a little while back, somebody was saying that California reciprocates on Oregon's medical marijuana card, too.
Unfortunately, that is not true. You have to have a California doctor to write a California license. And the same is true up in Washington, but now it'll be legal. But there are some states that have reciprocity. 5 states, and ironically, again, the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., go figure. But those 5 states are Montana, Michigan, Maine, Rhode Island, and Arizona. So if you're in those states, you can have as much as their state legally allows you to have. It's 2.5 ounces in most of those states. And so in Washington, if you're a patient, you're not limited to under an ounce. But you need a Washington physician's recommendation. If you're going to have, come next week, December 6th, 2012, it'll be legal in Washington State to possess up to an ounce. So that's pretty exciting.
Okay. Yeah. So
for anybody over 21.
I'm just trying to get a grasp on this too, though. But I know Oregon does. They give cards away to out-of-state residents
they don't
or
give
whatnot.
them away. The patients have to pay for them, and they don't
okay.
allow low-income patients to get an out-of-state card. So it's $200 for the state fee with the Oregon Health Authority. They used to be the Oregon Health Department, but now they're the Oregon Health Authority.
Yeah, I got to be careful with my wording there, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know. We know what you mean. But I just thought I'd let
So, anyways,
you know.
but I'm just trying to get a grasp on that, as far as the West Coast for traveling, between the 3 states, because I go through all 3 myself quite often. So I'm just trying to figure out what I got to do, that I can travel without worries.
What's your license plate number?
Well, shut up. It's I have a recommendation. We have doctors who can help patients get recommendations in Washington and California. However, it's really up to the police officer you run into. If you have an out-of-state card, I think many police officers just say, okay, as long as they don't think you're selling it or anything. I think most police officers out there for ending marijuana prohibition. And maybe not in some municipalities, but in a lot of the urban areas at least. And we've had a lot of support, like this Indiana head of the Indiana State Patrol, the state police. He came out for marijuana legalization before his state legislature.
Rednecks this side of the Mississippi, yepper.
It's the other side of the Mississippi.
Oh, that's right.
It's the other side of the Mississippi.
Haven't I? I keep forgetting.
Yeah. But thanks for your call. I appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
Yeah, have a good night. We got time for a couple more calls. If you want to call us, the number is 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. And we'll be taking your calls for a few more minutes. We got about 10 minutes left.
Well, I've noticed that the mainstream press is now starting to embrace the concept of legal recreational marijuana. They're not so silly about it. Of course, the talk show hosts and all the comedians are making all their groovy jokes.
Well, some have been very supportive. I mean, especially if you look at MSNBC, we've had several MSNBC news shows,
and CNN.
Whether it be Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell and others have come out very strongly in favor.
CNN too. They've been very pro, very intelligent about it, which gives me the hope that maybe that our White House offices will be as well.
We have a studio audience question. So welcome to our show, Gavin.
Yesterday on the news, I was watching the news, and they were mentioning something about Washington, state of Washington, not hiring anybody who smoked the least a little bit of marijuana or whatever. Did you hear anything about? Do you know?
I have not heard that. I'm sure some people will make that call, but I think in the end that we'll see full global cannabis freedom in hopefully our lifetimes. But I think that that will change once it's legal. No official determination's been made across the board in Washington State in terms of the employment aspects. You know, some employers don't have to employ, you know, if you smoke tobacco, they won't, because it'll drive up their health care costs. You can be denied employment with some companies. So it's really up to the owners and people who run that. We have another phone call out there. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hi, I live in Oregon. So if I buy it in Washington, is it legal for me to bring it back home to Oregon?
If you are a medical patient, it will be legal. If you are not a medical patient, then here in the state of Oregon, having an ounce or less is a it's like a ticket. It's an infraction. You get a fine of $500 to $1,000. You also will lose your driver's license for 6 months. That's one of the implications of being found guilty of marijuana in almost every state. The federal government demanded that about 10 or 15 years ago. But it won't be legal without a medical marijuana permit to have it in Oregon yet, unfortunately.
Or if you get that one police officer that just decides to take your marijuana and let you go.
Yeah, for his own personal inspection.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Which happens frequently.
You know, if we had passed Measure 80, we got 40. Yeah, that does happen quite frequently. I've had it happen. Yeah. But, and it's better than getting busted.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that's what I
Here, Mr. Officer, take my ounce and enjoy it.
Yeah.
See
it's good. I've had them, oh, this is good stuff. I've had more than one officer say that. You know. So that's, I had one officer tell me when he cut down my marijuana plant, he came up later and said, that plant stem was bigger around than my arm. Oh, gosh. Okay. Is that a compliment? I don't know.
Did you let him know that your IQ was bigger around than his arm?
Oh, I wouldn't say something
all
like
right,
that.
well,
I mean, come on. That's a little too proud a statement.
All right.
Anyway, if you are a person out there anywhere in the United States and you think you can need medical marijuana, we have doctors all across the United States to help. We are preparing to open in New England, in Massachusetts, and other New England and East Coast states, but we are in cities across Michigan and across Oregon and Washington, in Nevada and Hawaii and California and other states. If you need help getting a medical marijuana permit in any of the legal medical marijuana states, call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. Or if you are here in the Portland area, no need to call toll free. You can call us at 503-281-50. Oh, there's one. 503-235-4606. It's 503-235-4606.
Are you dyslexic?
No.
All right.
Not dyslexic. But, you know, who knows. Anyway, we're down to about 5 minutes left to go. And you want to tell our audience about your weekly radio show?
Absolutely. If you tune in to AmericanFreedomRadio.com every Monday through Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is also 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can listen to Time for Hemp live on AmericanFreedomRadio.com, AM/FM stations all across America. Also, if you go to iTunes and type in Time for Hemp, you can find all 4 of our podcasts free to download, and you can go to timeforhemp, that's the number 4.com, find our archives, check out the videos, and we would be grateful if you made a donation, which is how we keep up and going. And thank you, Paul, for letting me do that shameless plug.
And did you have advertisers? That goes out on, about 35 radio stations, mainly in North America, but a few
It does.
in...
and on Roku, there's this thing called Roku now, where people get this little box, and they hook it up to their TV set, and they get all kinds of great, interesting entertainment feeds. And now American Freedom Radio is putting Time for Hemp out through there, which is why we are getting to the minds of 1.5 million people all around the world. Once we double that, I'll be able to hire the guy from Fox, and we'll have one of those commercials that drive you nuts.
That's great. All right. Well, we are just about done. I want to thank you folks for watching. Tune in next week. I'm sorry for our local Comcast cable watchers if they weren't able to have video, but thank you for listening. And we're going to go out with a song by Mr. John Cornette. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing pretty good. I meant to say, Paul, 2 weeks I have had no Percocet. I've been on strictly for the last 3 weeks.
And you are a chronic pain, back injury person. You
Yes,
wear
sir.
a
I'm
brace
coming down from 720 milligrams of OxyContin per day.
And you were able to get off that completely with...
I had a device moved from my back, and I was a neurostimulator, and I had to go back on the opioid medication, which my doctor graciously prescribed to me along with the cannabis. And what I was able to do is come into this knowledge about RSO. I've made some for myself, and it freaking works, people. It works, okay? I don't have to go get a prescription. I don't have to worry about being addicted to opioid medication. God bless you, Rick Simpson. And I don't understand why my medicine isn't good enough for you. I don't understand.
Why isn't his medicine legal? I just want to say one more thing, John. This is Cannabis Common Sense. Tune in next week and help us restore him. Good night.
You said my medicine wasn't good enough for you, unless you're sick and dying. While that's true, farmers and families ruined for the freedoms they choose. All victims of mythology and those who rule. Show me where the damage is. Show me the damages. Show me the damages. And give me coherency. Show me coherency. Show me coherency. Waking up from the lies and the ruse, embracing truth and rejecting myth. You said my medicine wasn't good enough for you. We're here when you need us, and we love you too. Show me where the damage is. Show me the damages. Show me the damages. Coherency, give me coherency, give me coherency. Show me where the damage